Hey, Cactus crew, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Cactus Bill. Every Monday, I release an article from Without a Crystal Ball archives. Please do give this video a like, hit subscribe, share, comment below. Let me know if you have an article that you would like to suggest. I just want to stress that everything that I do say is my own opinion. And yeah, let's get into it. So this article is called The Night V Asked Me for January 16, 2016. Mummy, need. V looks at me impatiently. Whatever I had in my mouth spits out. I respond, "What do you want, V?" He says emphatically. I'm still very confused at this point, but I can't help but giggle now. This child really wants. Though I'm not totally sure what would be. Honey, what do you want? Hoping this will encourage him to try to use the skills he has learned in speech therapy to find the right letters to say.
I don't believe that this is the right way to go about addressing. Your son goes to speech therapy.
Obviously he's saying drink. Then we have you, Katie. You have an obsession with CSA. It didn't just start from your Josh Duggar coverage. No, it was evident back in these days too, because there's fucking article after article of CSA. It's disgusting.
I had to take a little bit of a break from I was covering child sexual abuse quite a bit, and I got so desensitized to it that I would read these articles, and I was or child where parents were arrested for their kids.
Yeah.
And I found myself reading these articles and being so detached from the outcome, and they're describing really graphic things.
Yeah.
And then having my readers being oh my God, and I'm like, why didn't I have that reaction?
It's fucking disgusting. Instead, he looks a bit mad now and frustrated. He takes his finger and he points to something over on his nightstand. Now he raises his voice and he says, I follow his finger to the bottle and I see that he wants his water. Slowly, I turn back to him. Why slowly? Do you not understand that water is a necessity and he shouldn't have to beg you and try and wait for you to understand what he's trying to say for you to get the fucking message? Slowly, I turn back to him and I say, do you want a drink, V? At this point, the communication breakdown has gotten to V. He's annoyed with me for not understanding earlier. He says, please. I walk to his dresser and I grab his water bottle. I hand it to him and he takes the bottle with great authority. He puts his lips on the straw and gets that desired drink. So is he sucking on the straw? Because that is one of the reasons that was failure to thrive, because he couldn't suck or swallow. After a long sip, he gives the bottle back to me. He looks at me and he says, Riri, mummy, lee off. I say, night, V. I remind him we need to go through the ritual of saying goodnight to various people in our lives. We make our list as we start saying all the people we love. He proclaims his love for mummy, daddy, grandma, and papa. When we are through, I say, you forgot one person. He looks at me with a smile and he says, I art GC. I remind him how to pronounce the name. Gently, I touch his hair and I say, yes, you love Jesus. I prop myself off the bed and I give him one last kiss and touch his hair one last time before I walk away. As I walk to the door, I look back to him and I say, sleep tight. He lifts his head up to me and he screams, see to. I closed the door and I ran to Todd. I told him about the whole exchange. While for many parents, this may be a really funny exchange and typical miscommunication, this is the kind of experience I have been dying to have as a mum. V was non-verbal until September of this year. This was due to Katie, in my opinion, from my point of view. Katie Joy's son had undiagnosed hydrocephalus for 3 years. As soon as he got the shunt to relieve the pressure, that's when he was able to start to talk because the pressure was taken off that part of the brain. I have a whole playlist below. I'll link it in the description box. V was nonverbal until about September of this year. He had a few words, but he couldn't express himself clearly due to severe apraxia of speech. We started therapy last spring. At the time, his speech pathologist estimated his expressive speech to be less than 1% of children his age. The news at the time was devastating. The diagnosis was hard to swallow. Many children with severe apraxia of speech find it difficult to talk. It's on a flexible spectrum. There will be some children that will move from severe to mild, while other children stay at severe forever. You want your child to remain in the severe category because that makes you happy, in my opinion. The doubt of that diagnosis last spring provided me many sleepless nights. There was a time when a therapist told me that they weren't sure V would ever communicate. Well, because until his hydrocephalus was diagnosed and the shunt was put in to relieve the pressure that the cerebral fluid had caused in building up in the ventricles, until that was dealt with, there's no way that your child could learn. I had apraxia. It's just called oral apraxia, by the way. The lack of motor skills in my mouth, the lack of ability to control my tongue, create saliva, able to suck, latch on. It all takes a patient mother, and it's all from being born premature. We were working on getting ready for sign language and an alternative communication device. We truly weren't sure if he would speak. Of course, you went to the extreme limit. Like, oh my God. As soon as that therapist told you that your child may never communicate, if you would have even had the patience for braille or sign language. After months of therapy with a very determined therapist, V had a verbal breakthrough in September. If you head to my Twitter, at It's Crystal Bill, also the same handle on TikTok and Instagram. Please do follow me. Yeah, I have pictures on there Katie has shared. So I've shared for everyone because Katie's oversharing only makes my voice louder, and I'm speaking for her child. There may be a downside of sharing these articles that he will read these one day, come across them, but at least he'll see that there were people out there that were trying to speak for him, try to change something, saw the warning signs. Not everyone was blind. Within a few weeks, he went from having a single word of data to speaking hundreds of words and speaking in sentences. His therapist was astounded. She said the results were miraculous and not typical. Most children with severe apraxia don't start speaking this quickly. And that's why I believe it was never that. It was the hydrocephalus. She forgot to mention right up until 3.5 years. They've gone in there saying, oh, he has apraxia of speech. No, he was even moved from severe to moderate apraxia of speech. We had conquered another goal that was unexplainable. Well, yes, unexplainable when you're in the wrong disorder, when you're not taking into consideration the other disorder, the main issue. Over the past 4 months, V's verbal skills have improved dramatically. Our biggest challenge now is his pronunciation and the intelligibility of the language. Most people that don't know V would have a hard time understanding him. However, we know what he's saying. You didn't even know that he was trying to say drink. You can't see how bad that makes you look. That you wrote an article about your child asking you for. You think that's funny? For any other mother, I'm sure it would be. But for a mother like you that focuses on CA and CSA, multiple posts on Instagram and Facebook detailing this shit, no, it's an excitement point for you. However, we know what he's saying because the same attempts and the approximations are used consistently when he speaks. He continues to work with his therapist on building, molding, shaping his letters. There are times he still struggles to get the words out, gropes for words, and says the words in the wrong order. However, he's speaking. This was something we were not expecting. Last night, as I laid my head down for bed, I thought of all the hard work he does every single day. The amount of issues he tackles daily is impressive. He works incredibly hard with his therapist and is a very eager, agreeable student for them. I continue to marvel at what he continues to show us. He isn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to make it this far. And now he's beating another thing he wasn't supposed to do. As I laid down last night, I silently said to myself, "Oh, RGC, I know he's up there and helping us reach these milestones and miracles. I'm not sure why he's picked V for it, but I'm not going to argue. As V would say, TACUGC. You're not letting us know what's happening. We don't know his, repetition traits and stuff after his attempt. So great. Thanks for letting us in on your journey. In conclusion, what can we really say there? What haven't I said? What haven't I said? Please give this video a like, subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, please look into becoming a contributor. You can find the link in the description box. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care out there.